Hi guys, it's Brookelynne and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be a story time, and this one is kind of like a what the F series, but yeah, one of them type of story times. And if you guessed by the title, it is I got catfished. This happened like 5 years ago. I was 26 years old. I was studying in college. I was doing a beauty therapy course and it was just in the last year of completing it. So basically at that time I was single. I was living back home with family. This happened before me and my husband got together, and it happened just after I met him, but before we kind of started going out, started dating and stuff like that. And it happened at a time when I was so desperate for a boyfriend, so desperate just to get settled down and move in with a partner, get married and start a family. And yeah, back then I was desperate. Like, I was desperate. And this is going to make me sound like I am an immature teenager, like who didn't have a brain cell. Well, maybe parts of it you may think, oh, okay, she's got a brain cell working in her brain somewhere. But a lot of it you're like, Brookelynne, why would you even keep it going? So, literally, back then and even now, like, I do love black guys. Back then I was really into them. I still find them attractive now, but obviously I wouldn't go there because I'm married and I love my husband, and it wouldn't be very Christian of me if I went there. But back then I wasn't married, I wasn't even dating anyone, and my mindset back then is, it was a year after I got out of my toxic relationship with my ex, and I had a few like kind of talking to some guys, didn't go anywhere type flings, and I just kind of felt beaten down, like I wasn't really good enough, or why am I like not moved on. I was so angry because I felt like a lot of like my youth was stolen by the wrong people. And it sounds stupid because we all kind of go through challenges. It kind of builds us up and builds our character. And yeah, so in college I had a couple of friends, and there was a couple of new girls I started hanging around with from a different class in the beauty therapy course. Like, there was a few different classes and I was in one class and these girls were in the other class, and I'd kind of started talking to them, more so particularly this one girl. I'm going to call her Bianca, and yeah, I'm just going to call her that 'cause I'm not using real names because we don't do it over here. I don't, not getting in trouble for no one. So we'll call her Bianca. She was like married to a black man and she's mixed race herself. And me and her were really, really friendly. Like, me and her were talking about like anything. Like, we would have met up during lunchtime, break time, had lunch together, talked and everything. And I remember I had kind of stopped seeing someone, like some guy, and he kind of like dropped me. And I remember saying to her, oh, why can't I meet a nice guy? I would love, like, particularly a guy who's of a different race to me. I was really into that because yeah, I love dark skinned guys. And yeah, so she said, well, my husband's friend, he's single, his wife left him a couple of years ago before he moved over to Northern Ireland, and he's looking for a girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, I was like, go here, like, perfect opportunity, how old is he? And then she said, well, he's older than you. I'm like, I don't mind a few years older, like even 10 years older or so wouldn't bother me. Back then, like I said before, I was 26 and I looked younger. I looked like I was around 18 back then. I'll put a picture of what it looked like back in the day. I just like started losing weight. I was halfway through my weight loss journey at that point, and I looked a lot better. I felt amazing in myself, and I was like, I just want to meet the right person now. I'm ready. I'm 26. I'm sick of waiting. And that type of attitude doesn't get you anywhere really, because Desperados attract the dirtiest water, if that makes sense. Like, if you're in that desperate mindset, you're gonna attract what you don't want. I do believe that you're gonna attract like people who are not for you if you're desperate, or if you're not desperate and you try to kind of make the best of things, and obviously keep fighting for what you want and looking for what you want, but you're not in a desperate mindset. I'm sorry about the noise, I live up in a built up area, so excuse that. But yeah, desperate people attract the wrong type of people for them, so you're better being in a bit of a higher mindset, like a positive mindset. And yeah, so Bianca said, yeah, my husband's friend, he's looking for like a girlfriend, a serious girlfriend who could turn into a wife, and he wants to start anew. He's been hurt by his wife. His wife walked out with the kids and left him for a younger man, and he needs built back up. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's absolutely horrible. Why would you do that to someone? Like, she is horrible. Now, some people do, like, stuff like that. People do kind of fall in love and everything. But I do think that marriages should be worked on. And obviously, if it's not working out, like, say, for instance, it's toxic or abusive or whatnot, or there's cheating involved, then by all means, if you can't work past that, well, or it's not fixable, then you deserve to be happy, and yeah, you don't deserve to be in a really bad situation. But I was like, oh, that's terrible, like, poor man. And then I was asking, yeah, how old is he? And she said, oh, he's 40. And I'm like, 26. I was like, well, 40 is probably my maximum I'd go for, but okay. And she said he's like black, he's from Africa, but he moved over here, and he's just looking to start anew with someone. He's sick of like kind of casual relationships. He wants to have a serious girlfriend, someone who's serious, and he isn't into white girls. And I'm like, perfect. Perfect. Because I was like, I want a black man. I really was. I was like that. Like, I was like, oh, here, what if he's like the one for me and everything? And I was like, oh yeah, it sounded interesting. He showed me a picture, and showed me a picture of this really good looking guy. He was standing by a door. He was really tall, like over 6 foot tall looking, and he looked like about 35, 40, and he was decently good looking. And I was like, yeah, he's really, really nice looking. And it's like, yeah, do you want me to give him your number? And I'm like, yeah, sure, like, only if he's not going to muck me around, but yeah, that'll be amazing, Bianca, that, yeah. And then she's like, cool, I'll take a picture of you, and if you don't mind. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And you don't know, I'm like selfie queen. I just smiled, and she got a picture of me, and I was wearing like a coral lip, similar to what I have on now, but not as orange. It was more like kind of pinky coral, like a bit like lighter, I would say. And I did have a similar type, same type of hair colour, like the white blonde, but I didn't have the ginger. I had my natural dark blonde underneath, but it was highlights, the white blonde, but it was pretty much like it was solid bleach. And I had like the hairband I would wear sometimes, and she took a picture of me and said, I'll send that to him and see what he thinks. He doesn't have social media. He's not really a social media type of guy. I'm like, that's okay. But he does have WhatsApp. And I'm like, yeah, I have WhatsApp too. So she just took a picture, sent it to him, and then the next day, I think this was around a Tuesday, I would say. Or was it? No, it was Tuesday because it was off on Mondays back in that year, college. So on Wednesday, she came in and said, I'll call this guy Yulan. Okay, his name's Yulan, her name's Bianca. She said, oh, Yulan thinks you're absolutely stunningly beautiful, and he wants to talk to you, and I've gave him your number. And I'm like, happy days. So it was all buzzing. I was like, here, I'm gonna talk to this amazing guy and get to know him and see where it goes. And back then, because I was living with my family and they were quite strict, like if I were told them I met someone on the internet, they would have freaked out, because you hear all the horror stories, and rightfully so, you do hear horror stories. Not like you can't meet people online and be safe, as long as you be sensible and meet in a public place, tell people where you're going and who with, and even get someone to kind of be there but in the background to keep an eye on you, and kind of make sure you have your phone on you, or make sure just that you're safe and you don't kind of be stupid about it. It should be fine, and make sure you kind of scope that person out and look for signs that are dodgy, and if they're dodgy, cut contact and back off and back away from them, get the heck away from them. So yeah, but I've told my family, even under them circumstances, they'd be like, no, no, no. They would have freaked out. So I kind of did keep it secret. And so Yulan, I think he messaged me that night or the next day, and he said, "Hi, I'm Yulan. How are you, Brookelynne?" And I'm like, "Hi, Yulan, how are you?" And then we kind of got into conversation about our life and everything, and he was telling me about, like, he's just been in this country for a year or so, a couple of years, and he was saying, like, he did go in detail about his wife leaving him, and he had a couple of kids who were, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's horrible. She didn't deserve you." And then I asked, like, because he knew how old it was. Bianca told him, and then he was like, "So yeah, like," he just kind of went into it. He said, "I'm looking for a serious girlfriend who, like, will eventually, like, soon be my wife." And I'm like, "I'm looking for a serious partner too. Like, I'm sick of being mucked around." He said, "Yeah, I've had a few kind of flings." He said he had a few, like, kind of people he was talking to, and they kind of ditched him, or he had a few casual, like, hookups. And he was sick of doing casuals, and he wanted someone, like, who'd be wife material. And I'm like, "Well, I'm ready to settle down and whatnot." And then he's like, "Oh, I heard you're 26. And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. How old are you?" Just, like, even though I was told 40, and he said, "I'm actually 45. And I'm like, "Okay." Like, he seemed nice, so I was just talking away and everything, and we're talking about our dreams and everything for the future. And I said, like, "Oh, what do you do for work and everything?" And I think I think he was doing kind of some kind of casual part-time work. It might have been in the office. And then he's asking, "Oh, I hear you study and everything." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the course that your friend's wife's on." And he's saying, "Yeah, Bianca's lovely." And we're just talking away, just, and I was, like, getting, like, butterflies. I'm like, "He sounds really nice." He was very, like, articulate, put together. He sounded like, in his messages, it didn't sound like immature at that point. He sounded really articulate, like, put together, really well spoken. And he said, "Oh, my cousin's, like, a famous musician, like a famous singer in Africa," and he sent me videos of, like, his cousin's music. And I said, "That sounds amazing." It was like that traditional African, like, type of carnival, type of happy vibe music. And I was like, "Oh wow, you're related to someone who's famous over in Africa." Like, I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Like, what an honor." Do you know what I mean? And he's like, "Yeah, I've seen him play and everything over in my country, and he's absolutely amazing." And, like, cool. And so he was asked, "Do you want any kids, or do you have any kids?" And I said, "No, I don't have any yet, but I want kids." I said, "Oh," he said, "yada yada yada, my kids are, like, in their 20s now." And I'm like, "Okay," thinking he must have got married young and had them young. And I asked, "Oh girl, do you want any more kids?" And he said, "Yeah, I do." And I'm like, "How many do you want?" And he said, "How many do you want?" I said, back then I was thinking, I thought I wanted 4 kids. See, now, no. I think sometimes even one's enough. But, well, technically got 3 kids, but 2 of them are French bulldogs, but they're like my kids. And then back then I was like, "Oh, I'd love 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls." And he was like, "That's exactly what I want." And then I'm like, "Oh wow." And then he said, so, like, we're just talking away about things. And then he said, "So how, like, when do you want them?" I'm like, "When I've met the right person, and when I've got married." Like, particularly, more importantly, when I've got married and I've met the right person, but not too long, maybe a year or 2 years or whatever. And he said, "Oh, I'd love to have them soon too." And we're talking about that. And then he was asking, like, where I lived, and I said, "I'm just live with my parents." And I didn't really go into much detail. It was like, "Yeah, I live with my parents," but I didn't tell him where I lived or anything, because obviously of the sense not to say where I live. to someone who's practically a stranger, so I didn't tell him exactly where I lived or anything, but I did say, oh, I live in Belfast, because he said he lived in Belfast. And I said, oh, who do you live with? And he said, I live in a shared house with a couple of other men from different countries. And I'm like, oh, cool, cool. And then I think Bianca did mention that he was living with friends. And then he said, yeah, sometimes it could be annoying. Like, I do sometimes like my own space, but I do get my own space in the bedroom and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I know it can be hard to live with other people. And we're just talking, like, just making kind of casual talk like that. And then it came to the point where, like, a couple of days or so later, he was asking where do you want to meet and when do you want to meet. And I was thinking, well, I don't know how comfortable I'd be meeting him on my own. Like, obviously I would never met him in a private place. I just know not to do that. And even back then I knew I had sense not to meet people off the internet in a private place. I never really met anyone off the internet. Like, at that point, I never did it. I just met people in person for different people, etc. Like how I met people before the internet. And so me and him were like talking and everything. So he was asking, oh, I'd love to meet you really soon and everything, and do you want to go out somewhere? And then I was thinking, well, I don't really want to meet him right on my own. I probably want to meet him in like a place, like a communal place. So he was talking about that he's a Christian, and back then I wasn't really a Christian, but I was going to church with my auntie and just exploring the faith and everything. And this was back in like January 2019. And then I said, have you heard about if we met up in my church? Because he said he went to church that had like, it was like a mixed kind of culture, mixed race church. It was somewhere in Belfast. And I said, oh here, yeah, that'd be lovely. So we arranged to meet that Sunday at church. I went with my auntie, and then that Sunday I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to tell my auntie about him? Like, did I just say, oh, my friend was going to come and she couldn't make it, and he turned up by the time I was thinking. And when I seen him, when he walked in, he had like a black kind of plaid type of jacket, like a big, it was kind of like a velvet black kind of blazer coat. He was tall still, like from his pictures, like 6 foot tall I would say he was, but his age was way, way, way off. In that picture that my friend sent me and that he sent me, like, he sent me another picture where he was younger, and he looked like, not young, but he did look a lot younger than what he actually was. So I looked at his face and I was like, black people don't really age. They'll age far slower, or the wrinkles don't show on their face because their skin's a lot darker than white people's, and they have a lot of collagen and elasticity in their skin, more so than white people. And then I was looking at his face and I was like, he looks like my granddad. He looks older than my dad. And I was like, bit freak, like, not being mean to old people, like, each their own age gap, but I wouldn't have went for that type of age gap, no offence. But I was like, there's no way he's 45. There's no way he's even 55. And then I'm like, hi, Yulan. It's like, I used to say, hi, Brookelynne. And then my auntie's face, she was like, Brookelynne, who is it? I'm like, it's a friend. And she was like, right, where's he from? And like, from a college? Is he your tutor? And I'm like, no, he's my friend's husband's friend. And then my auntie was like, well, why'd you bring him here? I'm like, we were talking, and then we're friends and everything. And I was trying to play down it a bit, but it was so awkward. And I'm like, Yulan. I kind of brought him to the side after the sermon. And I'm like, Yulan, what age are you? And he said, Brookelynne, I'm actually 65. I've got a confession to make, I'm 65. And then I'm like, right. And then he was sitting talking, saying, you look beautiful. I'm like, thank you. He was awkward too, because he was like, because he knew, like, because obviously I was talking to my auntie, he knew, like, that was my auntie. So he was like, shitting himself in a way too. He seemed really, really awkward because he was like, she's got her auntie here. I can't, like, do or say whatever. She's got her auntie here, and I'm not trying to, at that point, trying to accuse him of doing anything. Maybe he just was naive, I don't know, like, so I was talking away, but it was really, really awkward, because I was thinking, oh crap, what if my auntie tells my mum about him? Like, I brought some random little church. What if, like, at that age, I could have got away with it if he looked like he did in the pictures. I could have got away, and it would have been a lot more believable. She would have thought, ah, just Brooklyn's friend from college, and it could have been a lot more believable, but and less dodgy. But my auntie was literally, her face was like pure white, and I was like, I couldn't relax. I was like, shit. I was like, I kind of felt a bit deceived. Well, he did lie, and like, he really went way off his age, because maybe he thought a young girl wouldn't want something his age, and I wouldn't have went for it. I would have been like, do you know what, it's too much of an age gap for me, and I would have been nice about it, but I didn't want to, like, say too much, because I didn't want, like, back then, like, my auntie was there, and I didn't want to say about anything about, like, dating or doing, like, oh, brought him around as a potential boyfriend. She would have freaked out, and there would be more of a chance of her telling the mum and dad. So, yeah, so it was awkward. We were talking away when we were having tea, and he was asking, oh, can you give me a lift home and come to my house? And I'm like, I'll see who can give you a lift home. And then we were trying to find, and he was a bit, I can see he's a bit annoyed because he wasn't going home in the car I was. And then my auntie said, your mum's getting us, and I was like, hopefully someone takes him home before she sees him, or they'll be walking up to my mum's car and asking for a lift, and I would, oh no, it would have, oh, I could picture that scene. I was picturing that scene right unfolding right in front of my eyes. I could picture this random guy, like this random old guy, walking up to my mum's car and saying, Brookelynne said I can get a lift refuse. She would have blew her top. She would have been like, oh, hey, you decided to meet my daughter, and what happened? Where'd you meet? Where? And rightfully so, because it was, like, very deceitful. So I got catfished good and proper. And so a guy from church gave Yulan a lift and left before my mum came to pick us up. Thank the good Lord, because I was not wanting a scene. And so mum picked me and my auntie up, went down to her house, and before, like, she picks up, I said, now, auntie, please don't tell my mum, please don't tell her. And she did go ahead and tell her. So literally, she was like, mum knew what was wrong with me, because she was like, literally her face was, she was like she was shaking. She was like, probably she was thinking something was going to happen there, like, yeah. So we were like getting a cup of tea, and I was like, oh, I was thinking, like, oh, she doesn't say anything. I finally got away with it. And then I think it might have been a couple of days or so later, and then I found out she told my mum, because she said, Brookelynne, come here, have talked about something. And then I came down to the living room, and I'm like, oh, she knows. Shit, she knows. And then she was like, so who's this show then? Who's this guy you brought to church? And I'm like, oh, just some guy started talking to me. I tried to play it down. Just some guy started talking to me. And I know I want the truth. And I'm like, just some guy started talking to me who knew my friend. And he started talking to me and everything. No, Brookelynne, I want the truth. And I'm like, he's my friend's husband's friend. And she was like, right, well, why did he come to your church, and why was he talking to you? And then, like, I don't know, like, he likes me, but I'm not into him, he's too old. And I probably would have went there if he was younger. It's like, well, you're not going there, that's dodgy. And then she was like, well, who is this girl? Who is this friend? I've never heard of her before. And I'm like, Bianca. And then it's like, show me a picture. And I showed her a picture. Because, and she was like, Brookelynne, no harm to you, but she looks like a prostitute. I'm like, she's hardly a prostitute, Mum. She's hardly a prostitute. And it's like, she does. I would keep her like a wide berth. And I'm like, she's my friend. Well, why is she setting you? I'm like, she didn't. And then she's like, come off with it. And I just told her, I wanna settle down. I wanna get a boyfriend and everything. And I was like, oh, like literally, I sound so dumb and naive. Like literally, and back then I acted like a complete teenager. I really, really did. So, yes. Oh my goodness. So she was like, well, do you have any pictures of him? And then, because I think I sent my cousin a picture saying this guy who was talking to me, and then she probably sent my mum in and said, well, I seen a picture that your cousin sent Brookelynne. He looks like he's 70 or 65. He looks way too old for you. And like, I'm not going to go there. I might have a wee bit younger. And she's like, a wee bit younger? A lot younger. And like, fine, but if he was the right one, maybe it wouldn't matter if he was a wee bit younger. And she's like, no, don't even go there. I was so desperate. And then she was like, he looks like, he did look like Pat. If you've ever watched EastEnders, he looked like Patrick Truman, that old black guy. And he's like Patrick Truman. There's something going on there. I don't like it. There's something dodgy going on there. I don't like it. And then I was like, I promise you, Mum, I'm not gonna talk to him ever again. And she's like, you're better, because if I catched you and anything like that, that could have been dangerous, Brookelynne. That could have been dangerous. I'm like, I'm not stupid enough to meet him on my own. And it's like, well, you were sneaky there, but you're lucky there was a lot of people there, and you're smart enough not to do it in a private place, so at least there's that. And I'm like, yeah, what do you think I'm not stupid? I would take him round here or go to his house? No, I wouldn't. So yeah, so what she didn't know, that I continued to talk to him. Like, he talked to me. It was more so him leading the conversation to me, but I was lonely back then, and he was giving me, like, when I was talking to him before I met up with him, he was giving me so many compliments, saying how beautiful I was and how stunning, and he loved white girls and he loved blonde girls, and he was just giving me so many compliments, and it was making me feel good, because back then I had really shattered self-worth. I felt like I wasn't like worthy, because I'd been like shat on by different people so many times, and I felt like I wasn't worth anything, and I'd be lucky to find someone. So my mindset was like, well, he's paying me so many compliments, maybe it won't be so bad just talking to them casually, just get a bit of a boost, which is not. Don't do that, literally. Like, that's kind of, I'm seeing it myself as a bit of a using type of thing, like talking to someone just to boost up your self-esteem. No. And so, and then a couple of weeks ago, he did talk to me, and he said, when we're meeting up again. I was kind of distracting him from that, or like saying maybe soon. Like, I was too nice, and I was like kind of not wanting the nice compliments to end, so I was kind of putting him off a little bit, like let go of the topic of meeting. And so he was saying, like, he started to say more creepier things, like more things, like he wasn't really talking really that creepily, like at all. Well, thinking back now, I'm thinking like there's maybe some creepy things that were said, like talking about like wanting, like, well, I suppose like wanting marriage and kids, talking about that right off the bat, talking to people isn't that creepy, but maybe a bit forward. Like, well, it's good to get the conversation up if you're gonna consider this person maybe a potential boyfriend or partner or whatnot. But he started to say more creepier things. The creepy things were he's starting to say to me, or saying, if you let me make you my wife, I'll not let you down, Brookelynne. and I want to have kids with you so bad, you're so beautiful, oh, come round to my house. And he said things like that, and he said like one day he was like, I've got the house to myself, or my roommates are out, come round. And I'm like, I'm busy, and made up an excuse that I was busy. It's like, oh please Brookelynne, I really want to see you, you're so beautiful, and I want to make love to you and all. I'm like, and directly, and I was like, even though back then, but before I was a Christian, I probably would have done that early on in the relationship, not gonna lie. I'm making myself out to be a wee SLUT here, but I was desperate. Oh, my goodness. He was like, I really want to feel you and everything, and I'm like, okay, like, not really saying much back, instead of feel flattered, that kind of thing. And then he was talking about what type of things like to do during sex and everything and all that, and he said what he likes to do, and I didn't really go into, like, I didn't say much to say I'd like to feel love, but I didn't really go into like details or anything. And he basically said, I just want you in my arms and everything. And thinking back, even now, like back then I was getting creeped out. I was like, oh my goodness, this is too much. But then I was kind of feeling like a bit wanted at the same time, but also creeped out. Like, it was weird. I was more so creeped out, but I felt like, oh, like I'm desirable, but also I was like, red flag, don't go near him, no, no, no. And it was that side, luckily enough, was way stronger than the, oh, it's so flattering. And then he started saying to me as well, like, oh, I want to get you pregnant soon. And yeah, literally. Because first of all, like, that day when he said that, he said, when was the last time you saw your period? And I'm like, I'm like, when did you have your period? And I'm like, a few weeks ago. And he's like, right. And I'm like, oh, that's creepy. I'm like, no, that's creepy. And then he started talking about, oh, well, I would love to get you pregnant once we get together and everything and make you my wife. And I'm like, that's a bit too soon for me, and no. And then literally, and then a few weeks later, like about a week or so later, I kind of, after that what he said and everything, I kind of started to taper off and wasn't really, like, I was not really engaging with him, and I wasn't really like saying much back when he was saying these things. Just, I probably should have cut off contact when he started getting creepy, but no. And then when I did meet up with him, my friend Bianca, I should have said this after, when I told her, like, I met with him, like the Tuesday after Sunday, I was in college, she said to me, oh, you should go around to his house and F him and have sex with him. And I'm like, I was like joking away, because you know the way girls joke and everything. She was like, literally, she was like, test drive him before you go into a relationship with him. That's what I did. Test drive him and see if he's good, and he needs a confidence boost. He's been let down by his wife, and he needs a beautiful girl like you to test drive him. And I was like, I was kind of like, oh, did she say that before? I think she may have said that before. Actually, yeah, she said that before when she was talking about him, when she was setting me up with him. She was saying about him, like, that week before I met him. Yeah, because it's been 5 years ago. And she was like, F him, screw him, that's what I did with my husband, and see, like, you will not look sideways as a white guy once you've had a black guy. And I'm like, because back then I was like, oh, I want that as my fancy, like, doing that with a black guy. I kinda... Any kids watching this video? I should have mentioned this at the start. Any kids? Get off. You should have got off, like, before you even clicked onto it. But I was like, ooh, like, and she was like, you will not regret it. You are gonna flippin' love it. You will have the best sex of your life. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I was all for him, because I thought I was like, because I thought he was like 40. I was like, oh, I've got this hot new black man and everything. Oh Oh my goodness, literally she was saying, and let me know how, and she was saying, let me know how it is and you'll enjoy it and everything. And I was like, and then this Tuesday after, she did say something. The Tuesday after, Bianca did say, oh, me and my husband were talking about you and Yulan having kids and how beautiful those kids will be. They'll have a bit of your skin tone, a bit of his skin tone. They'll be beautiful mixed race and everything. And I think you should, like, don't leave too late to have a child, you know, of him. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, I really wanted a mixed race baby. I did. I really wanted a wee darker skin baby. That's, yeah. And so, yeah, and she said, you need to get round to his house and everything. Okay, she didn't mention that. And, yeah. So, and then he did actually, Yulan did say when we were talking about, like, kids and everything at the start, I did say mixed race kids are the most cutest kids ever, and said, I think so too, I love them as well. And then, yeah. So, get back into like the current point before backtrack there. It was like Valentine's Day nearly, and he just said, he would have said things like sweetheart and everything, and he would have said darling and all that type of jive to me. And he said, darling, do you want to meet up? I've got you some lovely Valentine's Day gifts. I got you a lovely card. And I go, oh, lovely. I'll see, like, just kind of putting him off at that time. Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't expecting him to, but I was like, oh, thank you. What'd you get me? And it said, oh, I got you lovely underwear, lovely lingerie sets, lacy ones that you will look good in. And I was like, right. And then he was like, oh, I can't wait to see you. And then I'm like, right. So so at that point I was like, no, this is actually getting too out of hand. So I kind of said to him, look, Yulan, this is a few days later because I kind of stopped replying to him. So I said, Yulan, look, I only see you as a friend. I'm so sorry to say this, but I only see you as a friend. You're just kind of making him feel better. You're a lovely guy and you will find the right girl for you, but I'm not the right girl for you, and I wish you well, and along the lines of that. And he was like, oh, I wanted us to get together, and he said all that, but you're my wee princess and you're my darling. And I'm like, Yulan, I'm not for you. And then I kind of stopped talking to him after that. He did try to contact me quite a few times, but I really just looked at the message and everything, because kind of I set my pace at that point. And even though I don't really agree with ghosting that much, but in a way I didn't really ghost him, because I did tell him, but I kind of in a way did ghost him, but I didn't, because I tell him that I wasn't really interested in everything, and I'd thought about it and he wasn't the right guy and whatnot. And I know on my part it was my fault for kind of in a way keeping it going, because I wanted a confidence boost, higher standard stuff. I'm actually proud of myself that I didn't go anywhere private with him or go to his house or anything, because I'm not trying to paint like I'm not trying to paint anyone in a bad light or anything here. I'm just saying that he could have, like, when he's talking that strong, if he was really, like, I'm quite a like emotional person. Like, I wear my heart in my sleeve. I wear my heart in my sleeve, but I don't come on that strongly. I wouldn't come on that strongly to anyone. Well, back then, but I wouldn't come on strongly when I was like meeting people, like meeting potential partners. I wouldn't have came on that strongly. I would have gave like the old big compliment and all, but I wouldn't have came on really strong. But he was coming on really strong at the start. I really liked it, because I was like, he's really into me. And back then I thought he was like 40, and yeah. So I'm so glad I did not meet him in his house, and I'm so glad I didn't meet him anywhere in a private place. Obviously, it wouldn't have brought him back round to where I was living, like with my family, because that would have been World War III. It just would have been. And I'm not painting anyone in a bad light, but it could have been a really bad situation. And I'm not spreading hate or anything to anyone, but it could have been like I didn't really, he did talk about a lot about his life and everything, but I didn't really know him. Didn't really know him that well. And if it would have went to his house, it could have been anyone. It could have been like a trafficker, it could have been like a pimp, it could have been like a predator of some sort, or it could have been like, I don't know, it could have been one of them ones that love bomb you and they're abusive. I'm not saying that he is them things, but just the vibe of it, like the vibe, like how strong he came. Well, maybe that was just him. Maybe some people are just like that. Maybe it's just his culture. But just something kind of, even back then, it kind of like seemed a bit like that. But now I see it more. I'm saying like, yeah, this was bad. This could have been a really bad situation. And I'm glad I had more sense to not go to his house. And yeah, so a message, if any of you are talking to someone online and it seems off, believe your gut. Because my gut was telling me it was off. My gut was telling me, like, because I was like, maybe I should meet up with him to get the present. Yeah. Because I'm like, well, if someone put me a present, and I was like, no, Brookelynne, don't you dare meet him. Don't you dare, like, my gut was screaming at me, don't you dare meet him to get that present. I didn't. Because he kept on asking me, when are you getting your Valentine's Day present, when we're meeting up and everything. And thinking back now, like, that present could have been to lure me in somewhere. And if I would have met him on my own, I don't know, like, I don't want to jump to conclusions, do you know what I mean? But it could have been something dodgy going on there. But thank the Lord that if it was, God protected me from it and that never happened. So yeah, be careful out there, and hope you kind of found this kind of I did get catfished. This catfishing story time interesting, and I'll see you again for the next one. Stay gorgeous. God bless. Bye.